This meeting of the SMUD Board of Directors will be cablecast on Metro Cable 14. Board meetings are streamed live for customers and other interested parties. Meetings will be archived on the SMUD website for later viewing as well. Please put all electronic devices in the silent mode while in the auditorium. Item number 5 is to hold a public hearing on this Chief Executive Officer and General Manager's report and the recommendations on rate and service dates dated April 2nd, 2015, volumes number 1 and 2. The public hearing will be transcribed by a court reporter, and under the rate ordinance, members of the public who have not submitted a request for additional time at least 10 days in advance of today's meeting will have up to 3 minutes to speak on the General Manager's rate report. At this time, I would like to open the public hearing. Before taking public comment, there will be a staff presentation by Rob Landon, the rates administrator.
Yes, good morning. Thank you.
Well,
I brought that. Okay, we've been very busy out in the community with the outreach presentations, over 60, and I'll get to that. We've also had 2 workshops. This is the public hearing, and I'll proceed with the presentation. A very high-level summary of the CEO and GM report proposals. We propose a 2.5% increase in 2016 and 17. This increase is based on budget estimates in November of 2014. First, what are the proposed rate changes? We're asking for an average increase of 2.5% in 2016 and 2017. Just to summarize customer feedback in our outreach meetings about the rate proposal, some of the key areas of interest: our system infrastructure fixed charge that was approved in a prior rate process, the smart meter program, and the smart meter opt-out policy that was approved in previous board proceedings. That ends the presentation. Does the board have any questions?
Well, thank you very much. Okay. Questions from directors? Not at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, at this time we will take comments from the public on the General Manager's report. Please speak into the microphone, state your name for the record. This time I only have one card. We did receive one request for additional time to provide an alternative rate proposal. Mr. Graham will have 5 minutes to present his comments and alternative rate proposal. Mr. Graham.
Good morning, Mr. President, directors, and staff. My name is Mark Graham, and I live in Elk Grove. Please give me your complete and undivided attention for the next 5 minutes. This rate hearing is governed by Public Utilities Code, sections 14401 through 14403.5, and SMUD Ordinance 15-1. First thing, you should have received 2 emails through Ms. Lesh from me yesterday regarding today's hearing. I just want to address something in the beginning. Mr. Kurth, you sent me a letter June 10th, and you told me that I should address alternatives to the rate changes proposed in the report. As I pointed out, that's incorrect. According to Ordinance 15-1, Section 2, I can present comments, recommendations, and alternatives for the board's consideration. That's what I intend to do. It also says I should have a full and fair opportunity to present this, and that means, to me, no interruptions and no hassles from the board. All right. It also, the ordinance also says the written documents made by members of the public that are directly relevant to the report shall be made available to the public on the SMUD's website, and that's what I'm asking you to do. Now, I've sent you a few recommendations. This is the one I want to spend the most time on. It was in the second email that I sent you yesterday, called Report and Recommendations on an Alternative to the Rate Changes Proposed by the General Manager. This is my proposal. And that is, the SMUD should raise rates in an amount that is equal to the sum of the rate increase proposed by the General Manager plus the amount of money that SMUD would need to purchase and install an analog electric meter for each SMUD customer who requests one after SMUD provides your customers, all of your customers, with the information that's in paragraph C of my proposal through the channels and media and methods of communication that are in paragraph B of my proposal. The reason As I've said previously, the opt-out program and the analog meter option are, to this date, SMUD's big secret. They're SMUD's big secret because other than a page on your website, which very few customers ever see, you've never notified your customers about the opt-out program and the analog meter option. They need to know. So the reason for providing the information that I put in paragraph C of my proposal is so that the SMUD customers can make a complete and informed decision. In the slideshow that we just saw, you explained how thoroughly you had multiple meetings, you sent out communication, you sent out information through multiple means to reach your customers so that they would know about this rate hearing and so on, the proposal. Unfortunately, that was never done with the opt-out program and the analog meter option. So once SMUD notifies the customers through the means and the channels in paragraph B of my proposal of the information that are in paragraph C of my proposal, they will be able to make an informed decision whether to accept an analog meter and the analog meters that you will be able to purchase by the additional rate increase that I'm proposing. What would be the benefits? The benefits would, first of all, I want to say this is a temporary, my proposal is for a temporary additional rate increase. It wouldn't have to last all that long, only long enough for you to figure out how to raise extra money for the new analog meters and install them. The benefits would be allowing your customers to make an informed choice. Right now they have a choice, but they don't know that they have a choice, and they don't have the information that they would need on which to base an informed choice. And the second benefit would be to reduce their health risks. We know that, and my colleagues and I have explained to you and shown you multiple peer-reviewed scientific studies that smart meters radiation is hazardous to human health. And there are no studies, and we've asked for the board for these things in multiple years, 2012, 13, 14, and 15. There are no studies that you have that show smart meters and smart meter radiation is safe. So, this is something that I'm asking the board to consider and act on, and because it's directly relevant to the general manager's proposal, to put it on the SMUD website. Part of it is change the residential rate guide. In the section that's called Other Options, there's nothing right now about the opt-out program or smart meters. My proposal is that you should put something in there, in that section of the residential rate guide, revise the one from 2015 and include it in the 2016 and 17 residential rate guide to inform customers. And also you should put a link that says, for more information about this, please see, and then you will have a link to a page on the website which does not exist yet, but you will create that web page, and that web page will contain the information that's in paragraph C of my proposal and also information about the opt-out program and the analog meter option. You give your customers informed choice and ability to protect their health and their family's health.
Thank you, Mr. Graham.
You are welcome.
Are there other speakers who wish to comment on the 2015 rate proposal at this time? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Statements from the public. At this time, we give our customers an opportunity to speak on matters on the agenda. I have not received any requests or comment at this time. Seeing none, we will move to the discussion calendar. Item 6 is to introduce a draft resolution regarding the Chief Executive Officer and General Manager's report and the recommendation on rates and services dated April 2nd, 2015, volumes 1 and 2, the report, and errata number 1 to the report dated May 8th, 2015, volume 3. And I believe the General Counsel would like to talk briefly about the process for this item.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to clarify for members of the public that the board is not taking final action on the CEO report and recommendation today. Instead, our rate ordinance requires that the board introduce a draft rate resolution that contains the basis for the proposed decision, the proposed rate decision and the basis for that decision, and that's going to trigger a 10-day public comment period. But because the board is not scheduled to take final action until July 16th, I'm going to be proposing or recommending that we extend that public comment period until July 9th.
Okay. At this time, we give our customers an opportunity to speak on items not on the agenda on which the board will take no action, and items not on the agenda but within our jurisdiction. I have received one request to speak from Mr. Mark Graham. Thank you, sir. You have 3 minutes.
Just a moment here. All right. Good morning, Mr. President, directors, and staff. My name is Mark Graham, and I live in Sacramento. As long as we have a room full of people here, I'll tell you all, smart meter radiation is hazardous for your health. Our bodies are electromagnetic systems. Our brains and our hearts and our central nervous systems run on electricity. SMUD smart meters transmit microwave and radio frequency radiation over 13,000 times per day, and this is harmful and hazardous for human health. There is an absolute ton of scientific research, peer-reviewed scientific studies that show that this causes multiple adverse health effects and none that show that smart meter radiation is safe. I encourage you to look up the Bioinitiative 2012. Okay, I have a proposal here which I'm going to give to your staff. I mentioned this in May. You need to get a better scanner. SMUD needs to spend the money to invest in a better scanner. The board information packets that you see every time, it's readable, it's legible, but it's a poor to medium quality image, and you need to get a better scanner. Next thing, false statements. At the November 6, 2014 meter, Mr. Orchard made a false statement to the effect that the that the analog meter option is available to all customers. It is not, and Mr. Orchard should have known that at the time. At the May 21st board meeting, Directors Slayton and General Counsel Lewis also made false statements to the same effect. Here's the problem. What you need to do is verbally correct your false statements, and the difference is that hundreds of thousands of SMUD customers live in apartments or duplexes or condominiums, and this board does not allow, SMUD does not allow those people to get rid of their smart meter, even if they agree to it, even if they agree to the fees and ask for it. So that's the difference. Now, the other thing is, you should change the policy so that it really is available and applicable to all SMUD customers regardless of their type of residence. Then the policy would match the statements made by Mr. Orchard, Ms. Lewis, and Director Slayton. So correct the false statements and change the policy so that there's no longer any conflict. My other proposal, which I'll give to your staff, is this. SMUD should do a new review of the scientific literature on wireless radiation and health effects. At some point, SMUD did some kind of a review, and my colleagues and I have asked for the data through Public Records Act requests and essentially gotten nothing. But whatever the reasons you had for doing a review of the scientific literature at the time that you did it, there have been hundreds more peer-reviewed scientific studies on the health effects of wireless radiation since then. So I'm recommending do a new review of the literature and identify each study by the title, the name of the principal author, the journal in which it was published, and the date on which it was published, and share what you find with all of your customers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Graham.
You're welcome.
Are there any further speakers to come before us today? I guess I'm reflecting on it. Please be seated, Mr. Graham. Thank you. We've heard a great deal said about the smart meters and their impacts and effects, and I have to say, as one board member here, the comments and concerns appear to me to be really entirely unfounded, and so the actions proposed in response to an unfounded concern continues to make no sense. It has yet to make sense. I suspect it never will. But thank you for being here to exercise your rights to speak to us. Mr. Slayton?
Just a couple of comments, and then I'd like a response from the general manager. The FCC has licensed this equipment for use by SMUD and utilities across the United States. And when and if the FCC decides that there's some issue regarding the use of this equipment, then we'll certainly abide by FCC rules. So I would suggest that that's the place to go if you have the kind of concerns that have been expressed. But the issue of opt-out was talked about, and I'd like our general manager to make a comment about that.
Sure. Thanks, Director Slayton. The opt-out policy that was adopted by the board provides for an opt-out option for residential customers who live in single-family homes. Mr. Graham is correct. Multifamily housing units do not qualify for that. That was a matter of active discussion at the time that the opt-out policy was considered by the board. The reason is, for many, many multifamily housing units, the meters are a bank of meters. So if the concern, whether founded or unfounded, is the radio frequency emissions, you really don't do a lot by removing one meter from a bank of smart meters. So the decision at that time was to allow only single-family residents to opt out, and that was true if you were a homeowner and if you were a renter, in which you were able to get the agreement of the property owner to do so. So that is the current policy. Commercial customers do not have an opt-out option.
Okay. Oh, Mr. Fishman.
This is not by any means an exhaustive scientific bit of research, but the California Council on Science and Technology did look at this issue extensively in 2011 at the request of a couple of California legislators at the time, and I'm paraphrasing and I'm probably going to get something wrong, but they found no definitive link between smart meters and any health effects. So again, when we continue to use them, it is based on a good body of research that tells us they are safe.
Thank you, Mr. Fishman. Anyone else? Okay. I believe that concludes the calendar for today. If there's nothing further to come before the board, we are adjourned. Thank you.